studio in Middletown, Kentucky called Artist Studio. Come in. I'm a painter, a fine artist, and that means that I'm not a commercial artist. Although I do portraits, I do things on commission. I do landscapes and portraits on commission. And I wanted to show you how my creative process works. When I have something that I need to do for a show, my mind just goes all different directions trying to think, what should I do? Usually there's a theme that's mentioned, so I try to think of something along that theme. But then sometimes it just goes way off the track and I do something completely different. I am often inspired by nature and by things I see. And I think that's really the crux of my creative process. That I see things, and evidently I have hypersensitivity in my eyes because I've been able to see things that other people can't see as far as color is concerned and perhaps composition. And so I see things perhaps differently than other people, but I want other people to see those things. So I do the drawing or the painting so that they also can see what I see. I was a little girl in grade school. I remember I was standing on the playground and looking up at the sky, and the teacher came over and she looked up at the sky too, and she said, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "I'm looking at all those colors that are up there in the sky." And she looked up and she said, "I only see blue." And I said, "Oh no, there's purple and red and yellow and blue and all these different colored dots up there." And she was looking and looking and she couldn't see it, but evidently I can see all the colors that are there that some people cannot see that. So sometimes I want to put things like that into a painting. And I also do paintings for like landscapes, and I want to show how beautiful the distance is, so I'll tone it down, or I bring out the bright colors in the front, and I try to get the freshness and the air and expose everything to the public. That's what I want to show. Many people see water, but they don't see the colors in the water, or see why colors are there, and maybe even see all of the variety of colors that are in water as a reflection. And so we've got the deep blue that is reflecting the sky. We've got the oranges and yellows that are reflecting the bricks and the type of building that's being reflected. Today I found a flower that had fallen off of the orchid plant, and it was just lying there. It's been lying there for a day or so, but I thought I would draw it because it is so beautiful. If you look at it, it's got shadows down on the paper, and it's a very tiny flower, but it deserves a bigger audience than just my eyes. So I'm going to try to draw it. So I always begin by thinking of the composition, and this is a very straightforward picture, so I'm going to draw it right from the front. So I'm going to draw the petals, and they are very geometrically arranged. This front petal is sticking out. And in the center here is the curl. And in the curl is another curl. It goes back into a petal. Here's a petal. There's a smaller petal inside. comes up. And then there's this other one that comes down, around, and under. And it creates a shape like that. And when I do a watercolor, I'll color in this area in the dark yellow. And this has a dark yellow area here. But the shadows are what makes this. And the shadows go like this. This is all a dark shadow, so it makes the other part stick out. And you get the curl of the leaf this way, and then this leaf, this petal here, is concave, so we want to get the darkness inside there, and so I'll emphasize that darkness. And get that little area there. I'm not afraid to erase. Some people say you shouldn't erase, but I'm not afraid. And I'm also able to smudge. So I just take my finger and smudge. And so this dark shadow down here can be smudged into a shadow. And this also has a shadow here. So we'll smudge that. And inside of this leaf here, inside the petal rather, there's a smudge. So we've got this part, and then this shadow comes out pretty crisply here. And then there's a little stem back here where it fell off the mother plant. So we're going to draw it in, and it gets its own little area back there. And if I wanted to, I would, to emphasize the contrast, to emphasize its whiteness, I would paint this, and I will paint this as a watercolor, but I'll paint the background very dark, so the white of the little flower is emphasized. There'll be a lot of contrast. And this petal here has negative space coming up into it, so you get this whiteness, and this is really white here. So we're going to get this interior, and this interior. Make a little curl for this petal, and this comes like this, and you've got this curling around inside, and you've got this beautiful curl here right in front. It's so pretty. And then the curl of that petal. So we've got the beginning of a nice watercolor, and eventually I'll paint it colors. People often wonder how do you become an artist, and if you really want to become an artist, you will. When I was young, I wanted to be an artist, I guess, because I was just compelled to draw. Everything I saw, I wanted to draw that thing. And then I began to realize that some things I didn't know how to draw, so I had to take classes. So I would learn a formula or basic shapes in order to draw. So I would encourage anyone who is wanting to draw and to become an artist to start schooling themselves. There are some things you cannot learn by yourself, no matter how hard you try. And some of those things are, for instance, perspective, composition, things like that. You can't just figure out on your own. You might do well accidentally and then learn from that, but it's like reinventing the wheel. Why should you go through the process when someone can just show it to you in the first place? And then it's yours. It's your ability. You add it to your abilities. And so I would encourage you to go to school. I went to school throughout my life in painting and in drawing. My mother sent me to classes when I was really small. I took classes in grade school. As a matter of fact, I didn't know. I was sitting in first grade and all the kids were sitting around me and the teacher was teaching us something, and this lady came in the back door, came over to me and took my hand and pulled me out of the classroom, and I was looking back at my teacher and saying, like, where am I going? Why is this lady taking me away? And she took me inside of the big schoolhouse where they were having an art class. So somebody, I don't know who, recommended that I have an art class because I was just always drawing and drawing and drawing. And I needed to know how to draw things. Like, I didn't know how to draw a cow, and they taught me how to draw a cow. Things like that. So schooling is really important. I just finished this portrait. It's a commissioned portrait of a girl that died in with COVID. And so her parents wanted me to do a picture of her, how they remember her. So I tried to make it, the original picture is really dark and dreary looking, but I wanted to bring out innocence and color and have a happy memory rather than a sad memory of her. So that's what I tried to do.